You are standing in line at a coffee shop. A stranger asks you to watch their laptop for 30 seconds. You say yes without thinking. Then a barista offers you a free pastry if you take just one more customer's spot in line. Somewhere in your chest, something shifts. You hesitate. You are more likely to say yes than you think. That hesitation is not weakness. It is ancient machinery. Scientists have spent decades trying to answer a strange question. How much does it cost to make an honest person betray someone they've never met? The answer is uncomfortable. It is often less than the price of a sandwich. Your brain did not evolve in a world of laptops and coffee shops. It evolved in small bands of maybe 50 people, where every stranger was either a threat or an opportunity, and where the rules of trust were written by survival, not by morality. Understanding why you can be bought so cheaply means going back to the world that built you. Start with a name you may not know: Robert Trivers. In 1971, this young biologist proposed something radical. He said that cooperation between unrelated individuals could evolve through simple math. If you help someone today, and they help you back tomorrow, both of you come out ahead. He called this reciprocal altruism. It sounds noble. It is not. It is a ledger. Your ancestors were accountants of trust long before there was math. Every favor was tracked. Every debt was remembered. A person who helped and was never repaid stopped helping. A person who cheated too often was cast out of the group, and in a world without supermarkets or police, being cast out was a death sentence. So a second system evolved alongside the ledger: a cheater detector. Here is the strange part. That detector is not built for strangers you will never see again. It is built for people you will keep running into. Which means the moment you meet someone truly disconnected from your future, your ancient software gets confused. It does not know how to price the betrayal. And confused software makes cheap decisions. This is where the experiments begin. In the early 1960s, a psychologist named Stanley Milgram ran a study that still unsettles people today. He told participants they were helping with a memory test. In reality, he was measuring something else entirely. How far would an ordinary person go in harming a stranger if a man in a lab coat simply told them to continue? The numbers were staggering. Nearly 2 out of 3 participants delivered what they believed were dangerous, possibly lethal shocks to another human being. Not because they were cruel, because someone in a position of small authority gave them permission, and the stranger on the other side of the wall was abstract enough to not fully register as real. Notice what did the damage. It was not a large bribe. It was not a threat. It was a nudge and a lack of consequence. Your ancestors rarely faced a lab coat and a clipboard, but they constantly faced group pressure and unclear consequences, and the wiring that let them go along with the tribe is the same wiring a stranger in a coat can quietly hijack today. But surely, you might think, betrayal for something as small as a cookie is a different category. Surely real dishonesty requires real stakes. It does not. And this is where a more recent researcher enters the story. Dan Ariely, a behavioral economist, spent years running experiments on ordinary cheating. In one version, he gave people a simple math test and paid them for every correct answer, but let them grade their own papers and simply report the score. No one was watching. No one could be caught. Almost everyone cheated. Just a little. Here is the detail that matters. When Ariely raised the potential reward, people did not cheat more. When he lowered it, they did not cheat less. The amount of money barely changed behavior. What changed behavior was distance. The moment cheating involved taking a token instead of cash and exchanging that token for money later, people cheated dramatically more. The lie became easier the further it drifted from feeling like theft. Do you see the pattern forming? Your mind is not running a cost-benefit calculation the way you assume. It is running a nearness calculation. How close is this person? How connected are we? How likely am I to see them again? When those numbers drop low enough, even a small reward tips the scale, because your ancient ledger stops tracking someone it has decided does not count. A stranger in a modern city can feel like they don't count. You will likely never see them again. Your ancestors almost never experienced that condition. Every person they met was part of a repeating story. Every stranger today can feel like a blank page with no story at all. That mismatch is the crack the cookie slips through. There is a final piece to this puzzle, and it comes from a study you may have heard of without knowing its name. In the 1970s, researcher Biblitain and John Darley investigated why people failed to help strangers in emergencies. They staged situations where someone appeared to be in distress, sometimes with one bystander present, sometimes with many. The result reversed everyone's expectations. The more people who witnessed the emergency, the less likely any single person was to help. Not because people became crueler in crowds, because responsibility diffused. When it could belong to anyone, it started to belong to no one. This is the same ancient math, wearing a different costume. Your instinct to help and your instinct to betray are both calibrated by how personally responsible you feel for another person's outcome. Shrink that feeling of responsibility, whether through crowd size, physical distance, or simple anonymity, and both your kindness and your restraint grow thinner. So what does all of this mean for your Tuesday afternoon, waiting in line for coffee? It means the version of you that would never dream of hurting someone for personal gain is real. But that version of you was built for a village, not a city street full of anonymous faces. It means your resistance to betrayal is not a fixed wall. It is a spring, and the tension in that spring depends entirely on how close the other person feels, how watched you feel, and how small the ask seems. None of this excuses the betrayal. It explains it, and explaining it is the only way to guard against it. The next time someone offers you a small reward to cut a corner at someone else's expense, notice the moment your brain quietly reclassifies that person as a stranger who does not count. That moment is not a character flaw showing itself. It is 50,000 years of tribal math running in a world it was never designed for. You are standing in line at a coffee shop. A stranger asks you to watch their laptop for 30 seconds. This time, you notice the calculation happening beneath your thoughts, the ancient ledger deciding whether this person is close enough to matter. You say yes anyway, not because the math told you to, because you caught the math in the act and chose the answer yourself.